is on date. Okay, so what is the today's agenda? The first agenda of like date time variable, right? Then how to convert normal string into date, and later we'll take one example, real time example, or you can say we'll take one demo, right? We will perform one real time activity here, right? So what happens basically when we automate something, when we automate a software, okay, so as an input we get input from various platforms. We are taking input from some PDF files, we are taking input from some text file, we are taking input from Excel file, or there are uh, many sources where we can take as an input. Okay, so usually when we take input, that input consider the text format, or you can say string format, right? And but when we dealing with that input format, or when we deal with that particular string, and when we work with some dates, right, some dates, what we need to do, we need to first convert that plain date in a date format, right? Now for example, and on the basis of that, once we get the date in format of the date, then we will perform operation easily. Okay, so we will see how we can perform that. Okay, now for example, now first I'll take one assign activity here. Okay, so we can uh, how we can convert, or we can say for how we can use variable as a date time, right? So for that, here we have one date time dot now. We have one function is called as the date time dot now. What this date time dot now function give us? It will give us a today's date, right? But this date time dot now function is available in the date time variable type format. To store this date time variable format, I need to create one variable which has the variable type as a date, right? So here I'm creating one variable called as the var date, var date, simple, right? Var date. And if I'll see, this is a string, and why this error is shown to us? Because this is var date is in form of the string, and var date time dot now is in form of the date time. Okay, so what I need to do in this case, I need to convert this string in form of the date time first. Okay, so this error will gone away. Now I'll take one message box here, right? And inside this message box, now I'll simply put var date, right? Now if I'll execute this, now if we see here, I will get like my system get, this is my system date which I have set through my, you can say, system, my system's date 10/12/2023, that means month, day 2023. When I automate something, when I create a program, so that program is running throughout my worldwide network. Okay, so my US client will run the same program, my UK client will run the same program, my US client, or my UK Indian client, or the, you can say, 24/7 my that program will work. So what I need to do, I need to standardize my format, whichever data I will get, that I need to standardize, okay, in a standard format. I need to convert that. Okay, now I got this date. I need to, now for example, again, if I want to perform some you can say manipulation in this date, now I want to, if I want to do some manipulation on this date, that also we can perform. For example, see, now 20, this is my 10/12, that means month, date and year, and I'll get this you can say time as well, 1939 and 38, right? Now we have another operations as well, right? For example, I need to, now if you see, if I'll put some dot, and if we have, see, add functionality, add days, add hours. For example, I'll just use this add dates. What do you mean this? What this add days does here? Now if I want to get, I want to, and if I'll put some 2 here, that means if I want to get from +2, 2 means +2, that means day after tomorrow. This, if I want to get a date, or if I want to know what is the date of day after tomorrow, right? So I simply put 2 plus 2. If I'll put 3 plus 3, let's see if I'll just execute this. This is a day, that means day, that means this is the 12, right? So 14, it will give me the 14. Okay, see, 14th of October 2023, right? Again, here it's an date. And if now, for example, if I'll use -2, -2 means before 2 days, right? Minus means before 2 days, right? Again, if I'll execute this, now it will give us result as a 10/10/2023. See, 10/10/2023. So as per our requirement, we can convert that date, right? So same way, add date. So we have, like, for example, like add day, we can use add hours as well. For example, if I'll use add hours, and again if I'll put you can say 2, now it's 7:41, right? So it will give me result as a 9:41. Again, if I want to -2, so it will provide me result as a, you can say, 5:41. Likewise, so you can use this function as per our convenience or as per our requirement. You can say dot add, then you can add days, you can add hours, you can add minutes, milliseconds, minutes, months. If you want to manipulate some month as well, if you want to manipulate some seconds as well, so you can easily manipulate. Okay, so in this way you can manipulate your you can say date, or you can say your current existing date. Okay, now this is fine. Now, for example, the second thing, now here what we have performed here, right? Here I have created one date format. Here I have created one variable, and I have converted that string format in a date. That means this variable is itself as a date format, and on the basis of this functionality we can manipulate our dates. Now just consider, for example, I'll get some date in a other format. As an input, I'll take some date from the other formats like Excel, or you can say PDF files, or you can say any text file. I'll get that date. Or if I want to take some date from the, you can say, website as well, right? Now, for example, here what I'll do, here I'll just take one assign activity. Okay, right? And inside this assign activity, now I want to create one variable, for example, var str, or you can say var str date, right? Var str date. And now here I'll get date like 10/10/2023, 10/10/2023, or you can say 11/10/2023. This is a plain string. Okay, this is a plain string. Now if I'll execute this, what output we will get? Sorry. So it will give us the plain string like 11/10/2020. This is not a date. We cannot consider this as a date. Okay, so now for example, I want to convert this. Now here I want to I cannot manipulate this var string, like I cannot, just like this add function, I cannot add something like this. See, it will not provide me the date functionality because it's a plain string. Now what I need to do here is I need to convert this string, this plain string, into the, you can say, date format. So how we can convert that, right? So for that, what I need to do, again I'll just take one assign activity here, right? Assign activity. And what I am doing here, I need to just perform some technical stuff here. So I'll simply use this, and inside this variable, what I'll do now, first I need to use date time, as date time is my variable type. Then I have one function called as a parse exact. I'm parsing that. I'm converting and parsing is the same. Date time dot parse. Now if I'll just put this bracket, so see, this is my function. So try to read this function, what this function give us, right? So if you see function date dot parse exact s as a string. That means what input I need to convert s as a string. So this what which is the string value? In my case, where str data is my string value. See, s as a string. That means this where str data is a string format. So what I'll perform here, like I'll just pass some where str date comma, then format as a string, right? Format as a string. What format I need to get, or what format I need an answer, in which format I need an answer, right? So here I'll need answer in format of, you can say, dd dd for date, for month, and again y. It's a format, you can say y, that means year, dd month, y. If I want a date in form of like this one, ddyy, that also we can perform, but I need output in form of dd yy. So format as a string, right? So first parameter, this is called as a parameter, right? So this is my first parameter s, where str date string, this is my string, right? Because this is my string variable, comma, I have just put it comma, format as a string, this is my format. Now if you see again, this is second comma, so I'll just put comma, and provider, so I need some provider here. So for that I have one class, system dot, right, system dot globalize, this is a class actually, system dot globalization cultural info. Now if you see, cultural info provides information about a specific culture called a local of unmanaged code development. This information writing takes the calendar used. In this case, culture info means when we set the system data, or when we set the system calendar, so at background this class is used. That's what we have here. Also you are taking this, you can say, class system dot globalization dot culture info dot invariant culture, right? So this basically this technical stuff I need to remember, which class I am using here, system dot globalization dot culture info dot invariant culture. Okay, now, and this is my format. I need a date, because I don't know in which format I'll take my date, or at which format I'll get my date. Okay, now this is completed, like system dot globalization dot culture info invariant culture. Okay, so this syntax I'll put here, right? And now I have one variable with me, like where date. Okay, now what it does basically, so here if you see, this is just, I'll delete this, this is a plain, you can say, string. I want to convert this plain string in form of date. In short, I want to convert a string date format to date, or you can say date time variable type. So that's what I have used this syntax. This syntax is datetime dot parse exact, this is a method of that, and first parameter is my string, right, string value. So this is my string value. The format of my string ddmmy, I want to get in form of this ddmmy, and again system dot globalization dot culture info dot invariant culture. Done. So with help of this syntax, with help of this technical stuff, now I have converted my plain string data to my date format. Okay, now if you see where date, now if I'll execute this, so you will see 10/11/2023, because I have passed that specific data here, right? I have passed that specific data here. Okay, now for example, now see, I have one more, you can say, chart. Now if I want to get many more, for example, C# date format, so from here, see, we have one site here, right? Now with help of this you can put the data. See, if you see date.toString dd right? For example, if I'll put this value, so I will get this value. So there are a lot of things, right? There are lot of, you can say, format which we can get, right? So whichever your requirement, whichever format you need, you can put your sentence or you can put your data in form of this one, right? Datetime dot now dot to string, you can say ddmmyy. In this way you can convert that. For example, now if I'll just simply put, I'll just copy this, okay, and if I'll just put this directly in this message box, okay, and if I'll execute this, so I will get that result. See, Tuesday 20 October 2023, right? Or you can say Thursday 20 October 2023, because I have used that specific format. So it will give us so many formats to me. C# corner, you will get this format from anywhere on the, you can say, online, you will get this format easily, right? So easily you will get this format, and in this way you can convert your string into the, you can say, datetime, right? Now what we'll do, we'll take one exercise here, right? We'll go with some exercise. So what is that exercise? Now I have just created one file here, right? See, this is my file. This is the, you can say, just consider this is a real-time scenario as well. This is one of my use case. And what I need to do here is, I have, see, this is my serial number, I have some invoices, and I have some due date. For example, 7, 10, 11, 10, 12, 10, 5, 10, and you can say like 17, 13, 19, 20, 21, and 22. So what I need to do here is, I need to check, is this date is my past date, or you can say current date, or you can say future date, right? Obviously this date is my past date, 7/10. So due date is past, or date is past. I want to just print due date is past, date, because it's an, you can say, older date, or you can say this is my older date, okay. Now 11/10, this is also past date. 11/10, this is also a past date. 12/10, you can say this is fine. 17, this is not my past date, this is my future date. This is not past, actually this is my future one. So I need to print some message on the basis of this date. I need to perform this automation. So how we can do this automation? So first, this is my Excel file. So here what I'll do, now I'll just use Excel application scope, right? Why I'm using this Excel application scope? Because I want to read that Excel file. What is my Excel file? Due date.excel, right? So I have stored this Excel file physically here, right? Due date. I need to create data table, right? So that's what I have used. I need to use read range activity, right? Why I'm using this read range activity? Because this data I need to convert, or this data I need to pass to a data table, right? So here I am using this read range activity, and I am creating one variable called as the var dt, right? var dt, okay. So I have the data table, okay, and what I need to do, I need to iterate each and every record, right? So I need to read this record, I need to read this record, this record, this record. So I need to read each and every record, okay. So to read each and every record, I have multiple records. It's a list basically. So we know which activity we need to use. For each loop I need to use, which activity I need to use for each loop. So for each I have just put it here, and inside this for each I need to pass my data table, right? So what is my data table name? Is var dt, right? var dt. see this is, that is fine. Okay, where dt. Okay, so this is my data table, so I need to use for each row in data table activity. So I'll use this activity, and here whichever data table I have created, I need to pass that dt table, or you can say data table here. Okay, now each and every record is came inside this current row. That is fine, right? Okay, then what I need to do, I need to compare something, right? I need to take some first, this data is come in a string format. This data is came in a string format. First I need to convert this string format data in a data table format, or you can say in a date time format, right? So for that, here I am assigning one activity, right? And inside this activity, now whichever data I will get, that data I will get in this you can say current row dot, you can say item, and what is my column name here is due date. Okay, so first what I need to do, I need to take one variable and I need to store my data in this you can say variable string. This is a plain string, so I'll use this string variable here to store this data. Okay, because I'll use dot to string. Right, now what I'll do, I simply put one message box to check what data I will get, because I have used for each loop and I have taken one assign activity and I have used current row dot item. When I used current row dot item due date, that means now I will get all this due date one by one. I will fetch all the data from this due date one by one, because I am inside this for each loop, and this is also a string. So I'll simply put this value here, and now I'll check and I will see what data I will get in this where str date. Okay, now if you see 7/10/2023, again second, third, fourth, fifth, now 6th, 7th, 8th, 9, 10, 11, whatever it will until see 12. So until and unless I have the data inside this data table or inside this Excel, I will get that result, because that's what I have put it this for each activity, or you can say for each row data table activity. That's what I'll get all the data one by one. Now what is my next step? Now this data is coming in form of, you can say, string. This next step is like I need to convert that string format data in a data table format, because I need to perform some date functionality here. So that's what I'll again use assign activity here, right? And as per this previous you can say exercise which we had, so here I need to perform some calculation here, right? So date time, right, dot parse exact. Date time is my variable data type, date time. Parse exact is my method, right? And if I'll just put this parenthesis, see if you see s as a string. So what is my variable value here? Where str date, comma, which format I need a data, right? So here if you see I have data in format, you can say ddmmyy, right? So here also I'll use ddmmyy. Just remember, if you see dd is in a small case, is a you can see this is a fixed format, we cannot change that. Is a capital letter, and again yy is a, you can say, small one, right? So to understand that, you can go with this format, or you can say you can refer this chart. Okay, now again this is my format, again comma, okay, format as a string, right? Now comma, provider as a I format provider. So here what I need to pass, I need to pass system right? System dot globalization. That means why this globalization class or why this class is used, because I am considering all this global system. That's what globalization, cultural info, and at the last invariant culture. Okay, right? So now this syntax is ready for me, right? I'll just put here. Now I need to hold this value, right? I need some variable to hold this date value. So again we have this var date, which is available in the date time. So I'll use the same var date. Now see, this is my string variable where I have hold the data in a form of the string. This variable is used in form of the date time. So this is my date time variables, and here I have converted this string value inside in to my, you can say, date time format. To hold that, here also I have created one variable. This is also in form of the date time, right? Now fine, I have converted the string value to the string. Now what I need to do, I need to compare this. I need to just compare this. So I'll use if condition here, right? In this if condition, now I simply use if this var date is less than my today's date. Basically I'll use date time dot now. Okay, date time dot now, because what is my use case here is, my use case is like I need to just check the date which I am comparing. That was my past date, today's date, or you can say the future date. That was my use case. On the basis of that, I need to take some decision here, right? So for that's what I have just checked this where date is my older date, or it's you can say newer date, or you can say today's date. So on this basis of what I need to do, I need to perform some actions. So that's what, again I'll just use one assign activity, right? And inside this assign activity, now what I need to do, I need to pass some message here inside this column. So I am use this data. Just check out what I'm doing, what I'm performing here. So current row dot, you can say, item, and inside this double quotes in this status I need to print some message, no? So this is my column name. Inside this column name I need to just pass past date value. If this condition will get satisfied, that means this is my older value, or I simply pass this date is my older past date value, or you can say older date or older date, right? This is my condition. Else, if not, because we need to check both condition, no? Yeah, older value, or you can say in future value as well. So again I'll use one assign activity, right? And same I need to, this is my column status columns, how I'll fetch that column. So as I know, when I use for each loop, so all the value is available inside this current row dot item. You can use current row dot item, or you simply use current row, and you can just simply pass this way as well, current row status. That is also fine. It's both way you can use this functionality, right? So current row dot item will give us that column value, or current row status also give us the that, you can say, value, same value. Okay, so past date value, and here I'll just simply use due date is not past, or not a past value. Okay, now my program is ready. I have just checked the condition. Again we'll go and we'll see what until now what things we have performed, or what things we have done. So this is my use case. Inside this use case you will see I have invoice IDs and due date. I want to check if this date is past, or this due date is past, or you can say it's an newer one, or it's an today's date, right? So on the basis of that I need to print some message. Now if you see 7 days, so it's an past date. Just like this, I need to print some, you can say, message on front of the status value, right? So that's what. First I have just read this Excel file. To read that Excel file, I have used read range activity, and I have created one variable here, right? So this is a data table variable. So to read that value from that Excel file, I have used for each row in data table, because I have the data table. I need to read each and every value from the data table. So that's what I have used for each row in data table, and I have just passed that var dt to my data table. Now once I pass this var dt, so now all the value is available inside this current row. Current row means this is the current row. Current row, again this is the current row. Current row, current row. Each and every value is executed one by one on the basis of this current row, right? Now first, this date is available in the string format. So that string format date I need to convert in form of the you can say date time, or you can say date. So that's what. First I have just take one variable where string date. So where is that where string date available? This date is available inside this current row dot item. So to I just remove this item, okay? So due date. So whichever value is available in this due date, it will save inside this var date, but it again is come in the string format. To convert that string format into the date format, again I have created one variable which is the date format, and I have checked, or I have put this technical syntax here, right? So I have used date time as a variable type. I have used parse exact as a method. I have passed that variable string date here. I have just passed ddmmyy format, which is available in that Excel file, or whichever format we required. I have just used this again, system.globalization culture info.invariant culture, okay, ddmmyy. Fine. So I'll again put one if condition. I'll just use the condition like where date is less than date time dot now. I am comparing this all date to my current date, and on the basis of that I have just put one condition. I'll just take one more assign activity, current row dot status is equal to pass it, and I'll just print this message, right? So until now this is fine. I have used if condition, but I have not putted that message yet. I have not putted that message yet, right? So to put that message in front of the status, what I need to do, again I am using write range activity here, and I'll simply use, now if you see, same var dt, right? And I'll just take this add header as well. So when this loop will execute, so this loop will execute, this will assign this activity, or this activity gets changed, right? This loop will execute until we have the record in the data table, and at the end we get a last var dt or data table with the value of the data table, right? So that's what I have used write range activity. But after this for each loop, I am not putting this write range activity inside this for each loop, right? I am putting this value outside this for each loop, because once that for which loop will exited, then and then only I'll got the final value of the data table, right? Now sheet 1, so instead of this sheet 1 I'll put like sheet 7, or like sheet like 9, right? We don't have the sheet 9 with me, right? So let's say what output we will get, okay? So I'll execute this. Okay, so it will get executed successfully. Now if I'll open this, you will see, so I will get the result as well in the sheet 9. So what is the result? If you see past date, value, or older date, because 7th is older date, this is also older date, this is also older date, this is also older date. 1210, this is also older date, because I have not used equal to, right? I have just used less than. Here 510, this is also older date, right? 5th older date. 17, is not older date, right? 13 is not older date, 19 is not older date, because I'm comparing the date with the today's date. Again, 20 is not older date, 21 is not an older date, and so 22 is not an older date. How and why this is possible? Because here I have converted this string into date format. That's what I am able to compare these two variables, because whenever we compare two variables, that is mandatory, the both variable are in a same format. I cannot compare string value to integer value, I cannot compare long value, or you can say integer value to double value. That both should be in a same format. That's what it's possible. Okay, so now if I'll use, for example, add, see, now this is a in form of the date, so that's what I'm able to perform all the date functionality inside the this, you can say, var date variable. Got it? So in this way we can perform this activity. Got it?